That was an abrupt ending. How's it going, everyone? 3, 2, 1, yada yada. Welcome to Ash on Comics. You're watching Ash. Wait, I'm Ash. You're not watching me. You're watching the video. And I promise you, I haven't been drinking anything other than soda, but I am really freaking tired, which is why I got a big cup of iced coffee. I hope everyone's doing good tonight. I'm doing pretty good. Very tired, though. Very tired. I hope you're not too tired. I'm sure Eric Breen's really tired because he's always tired. But, yeah. How you doing? What's going on? It's Sunday. Sunday night. You're here trying to fall asleep. You need my dulcet tones to relax you, make you ease off into Never Never Land. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a dork. Melissa Harris is first. She is apparently reasserting herself. She let you guys. She was nice. She let you guys dance around and have your little chances with being number one. And she's like, all right. And it's like, all right, that's enough. I'm gonna be dominant again. RDV is number 2. Man, there was a time when you couldn't drag RDV into one of my streams kicking and streaming, and now, kicking and streaming, that's funny. Eric Breen is 3. What's going on, Eric? Good to see you. Who else is here? We already said Melissa. Maranya is in the house. Always good to see you, Maranya. Jimmy is here. Dragon Ball talk, and that's it. You'd think Batman would elicit more attention. More people would show up as, oh, he's gonna do it doesn't work that way. Does not work. Although Sundays are a weird time as well. For whatever reason, sometimes my slowest streams are on Sundays. I think maybe a lot of people are getting back to work. I don't know. They're just like it, or maybe they don't. They're just partying all the weekend and it's like time to crash. I don't know what the deal is, but it's weird. Sundays are my most difficult streams as far as getting any audience, but not that I get much anyway. Let's see. Dragon Ball says, dance in a chair, move your torso and arms around, white stripes. All right, Dragon. You're a strange one, but I like you. Multiple cans of Baja Blast Mountain Dew. I am on. I like Baja Blast. I remember when you could only get that at Taco Bell. You're like, oh, I want to get me some Baja Blast, but I have to go to Taco Bell. You're like, don't, damn it. KFC has a new Mountain Dew. Well, I don't know how new it is. It's been around for several months at least. But I can't remember the name of it. Maybe I can find it. KFC Mountain Dew. Oh, it's called Sweet Lightning. Let's transition so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Sweet Lightning. Where is it? Here it is. I really like this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's probably not going to be. It's kind of a weird flavor. I don't know if everyone would like it. It's got a good name though. Sweet Lightning. Sounds like that could be a comic book character. You ever notice how black comic characters always have lightning? Not always, but it's like the typical. It's like, oh, there's a lightning character. Like 95% chance the character is black guy. It's just like. And what's the deal? Like especially at DC, you got Black Lightning, right? And then you got they made a character for Legion of Superheroes, and this might just be Bendis only. I don't know. Breen can correct me or someone else, but there's a character on Legion who's like, to me, like he looks just like Black Lightning. He's got the same color scheme, costume, the blue, black and yellow, weird, like, and he's black. And he's got lightning powers. I think he's called Lightning Lad. I think that's his name. Then there's and then there's Static Shock, and he's also got the blue, black, and yellow lightning costume, and he's got lightning. I'm like, is there just a thing where you just make? I don't know, but Sweet Lightning. If you're gonna, I guess where I'm going with this is, if you're gonna make characters like that, you're gonna just need one more. Sweet Lightning sounds like it'd be perfect, right? It'd be like, what if they gave Luke Cage lightning powers? Be like, he's Sweet Lightning. I don't know if I'm being racist. I don't think I'm being racist. This is stereotyping maybe, but it's a cool name. But I have to go to KFC to get the flavor. Let's see what do they describe what the flavor is? No, of course not. If you've had it, let me know and tell me what you think about it. Yeah, we'll just leave the picture up here. I know we were talking about KFC the other day, and people were like, I love me some KFC. And it's like, all right, cool. What's going on? Let's see. RDV says, are we not supposed to sleep during the stream? No, you are. This is a bedtime story stream. So RDV. The idea is I lull you to sleep. It's like when you're mommy and daddy would read you bedtime stories at night so you could fall asleep. Ash is your daddy, and he's going to read you a bedtime story. Speaking of bedtime story, last episode we were talking about, was it last episode? I don't think it was last episode. A few episodes back, we were talking about Doritos, and I was talking about how I'm a sucker for like different flavors and stuff. And the only flavors I've never tried of Doritos, other than some weird obscure flavor that, it's hard to come by, is the Flaming Hot Limon. And I don't know who it was. I don't remember the person in chat that said that's the best flavor, Ash, or whatever. Someone in chat chimed up. If it was you, remind me, because my memory is faded. But I was at the store today, and I was like, I'm going to get me some of those hot limon, Flamin' Hot Limon Doritos. So I have one in my hand right here. I'm gonna try it. Oh, that's very interesting. Well, that's very interesting. I like that. This is ASMR. Ash on ASMR. Let's try one more. That's really good. You gotta like lime. It's got a very distinctive lime flavor, but then it has a nice kind of spice to it as well. And then you have a corn chip. I like it. All right, whoever it was, chime in. I'll give you anonymous credit now because I can't remember who it was. Let's see. Melissa says hello to everyone. Dragon Ball says I'm up to Dawn Dragon Blood Bud on PS4. Cool. I'm Ash1138 on PS4, although I don't have the PS Plus, so I can't get online. So I don't know how good that is. But I recently I got to play some more of it. I got too many video games going on now. Video games will suck your life away. You'll not have time to do anything. It's like a comic book. You can go, oh, I got 15 minutes entertainment of this, and it's nice. You get these little bite-sized chunks of fun and fiction. But a video game's like, I'm gonna sit down and play this for 8 hours. Man, recently I got this weekend, Xbox is doing their free weekend play thing that they do every weekend. So almost every weekend they have a thing where you can like play a game for free over the weekend. So it's kind of like demoing the game. And they had the Yakuza series. And I've like always been curious because I like Japanese stuff. I like gangsters. I like just like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, and it's also a very Japanese game, which is something you don't really get too much on an Xbox these days. And that's my primary console. And I was like, I just don't want to spend money to try it. But it was like free. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try these out finally, see what they're like. And I'm like kicking myself because I was like, these games are right up my alley. Many, many, many years ago, back on this old console called the Nintendo, one of my favorite Nintendo games of all time, the original Nintendo, was a game called River City Ransom. Now, if you're an old school person like me who played video games and you had a Nintendo, you've probably heard of this game. It wasn't like Mario, it wasn't like this big notoriety thing, but people who've played it all remember it. And I can remember growing up and when I evolved past Nintendo to, N64s and PlayStations and then eventually the Xbox, we went to more sophisticated consoles. I always remember thinking like, why doesn't someone do a game like River City Ransom, but more sophisticated? Because River City Ransom is like, if you haven't played it, it's like Double Dragon, and it's like really bad the graphics are really terrible, and the animation, it's just terrible. But it's like Double Dragon mixed with an RPG. So instead of being like Double Dragon where it's designed to be able to beat in like one sitting, like you can you beat it sitting in an arcade. The idea, like the bragging rights was like, if you could go to the arcade, if you could beat Double Dragon on 1/4, that was the shit. I can't remember if I was ever able to do that or not, but if to play through like the whole game was maybe 20 minutes or something. It was just all about how many quarters it could extract out of you so you could replenish your life. And they made this River City Ransom game, which took that same concept of like going through the town and beating up, gang members, capture your girlfriend, and then you got to go rescue her. Just like Double Dragon, except you can't just beat it in like 20 minutes. It like takes many, many hours and hours of play because it's like a role-playing game, like an RPG style where your character progresses, and as you travel, and it's just a little side-scrolling, you go through the different streets and stuff and fight people, but then there are shops, and you can go into the shops, like there might be like a ramen noodle shop or something, and you eat ramen noodles to like replenish your life, or certain things that you buy will like actually buff up your stats. So if you went to the end levels, like right from the beginning, you would just get your butt kicked because like one punch and you're out. Like you have to like build your character strength up before you can even take on those guys. And it was like, it took that fun of that game that I like Double Dragon, which is kind of ruined on a console because you don't have to worry about quarters anymore, right? You play Double Dragon, you're like, I just hit continue. It's like, and then the game's like 20 minutes long. So it was a marvelous, magical thing that I remember. And I was like, man, but if they could take some of these other action fighting games that have more sophistication to them, but take that concept of the RPG part of leveling up. Anyways, long story short, Ash long-winded style, Yakuza is that game. Yakuza is a 3D fighting game, like not even a fighting game. It's like a beat 'em up game, like Double Dragon or something. And you wander the streets of Tokyo, and gangs like show up and they fight you, and you got to beat them up. And then there's a story, and you do. You go to the ramen noodle shop and you eat the noodles and you get your life back, and you go to a different shop. You might go to a bookstore and you learn a new martial arts move or something. And it's just neat. And they're having a sale right now. And I was like, oh, and they have the 3 games, and stupid me, I was like, I'm going to start with the first one, try it out. And it's cool. It's fun. But I was like, I need to play the newest one, because that one's going to have all the great graphics and it just won't, it's taking forever to download, and the free play is going to be over by the time the stream is done. I won't get to play it. Not that any of you care. I'm just rambling. So sorry. Lightning Lad was not black originally, says Ronnie. He was a ginger. Well, Marania, that means he's black. I don't know if you knew this, but gingers are all black secretly. I mean, we're just having to expose it. That's the truth is just being revealed. RDV says, another true fact, I never heard of Black Lightning until CW gave him a show. All he knew this about Static because of the WB Kids 90 cartoon show. Well, RDV, I love you, man. And I don't mean this to berate you, but you're a product of like the normies that basically only know comics because of TV shows. Now, you have graduated past that. You're no longer a normie. You are a true comic collector, reader, but most people don't go past that part. And that's kind of the world we live in today, where you start talking about comic books and stuff, and people are like, I saw the Avengers movie, and you're like, oh. It's like no one knows comics too much. And so bravo to you for reaching that barrier and actually reading the comics and becoming one of us. Eric says, you're not my daddy. Are you sure about that? Billy being called Shazam is dumb and asinine because he says it and becomes Captain Marvel or Captain Thunder. Well, yeah, he's not called Shazam. The comic's called Shazam, if I understand correctly. He's called Captain Marvel, I believe. Someone educate me in the comics. I believe that DC is allowed to refer to him as Captain Marvel. Like in the comics, they can say, hey, that's Captain Marvel. But they can't, because of trademark and stuff, they can't like advertise. They can't show like on the cover, this is Captain Marvel. Like, I think. So the comic's just called Shazam, which is, that for me is fine. You don't have to call, every comic doesn't necessarily need to be the title of the hero. You know what I'm saying? It could be. I mean, that's the tradition. Spider-Man's in the Spider-Man comic. But you could have a comic called, something, I don't know. Anyways. Krondon the Rapper is the albino-looking bad guy in Black Lightning. Okay. Melissa says, Ash is your daddy creepy. And I'm not a creepy daddy. I didn't say I was creepy. Super Friends had Black Vulcan. They always had to put black in front of the character's name, too. It's like, I don't know. I don't know why. Are Ash and his Doritos versus Eric and his Pringles? Who wins? Oh, Eric and his Pringles. Come on. Let's see. Ash wins, but Ash got good. Or sorry, Breen wins, but Ash got good burgers in his videos. I do have good burgers in my videos. Dragon Ball says, River City Ransom is hardcore. The music is great. I own it on PS4. Gang Warfare and that. I don't know why. Why? River City Ransom is the Streets of Rage ripoff? No, River City Ransom way predates Streets of Rage. I think the only thing that predates River City Ransom is Double Dragon. Like, it's one of the originals. Streets of Rage is way better. Streets of Rage, the fighting parts is way better. I wholeheartedly admit the animation and the combat of River City Ransom was garbage. But at the time, when all you ever had was a Nintendo, you never saw Streets of Rage. it was fine because no one had really done it better. You just had the little beep beep, like two position, like the movements of two, like, I don't know how to say it, like the 2 points of animation. So the character would, anyways, but it wasn't, what made the game fun was the development, how they made it an RPG. The combat part, like I said, that would have gotten old really quick, but the progression where you could get to the next neighborhood of the game and take on the next gang, you're like, yeah, beat the, then you'd get too far and they'd kick your ass, and you'd be like, oh, I got to go back and work out more, and like go to the bookstore and read some martial arts books and ups your certain stats, and then eventually you could go back to that neighborhood, and then you'd beat these guys, and you're like, yeah, and you'd slowly progress to the end of the game, eventually culminating at the high school where the bad gang has your girlfriend, and I think you fight him on the roof of the high school. You have to beat the main bad guy. Like, the mechanics of the game itself were nothing extraordinary. It was the brilliant integration of RPG mechanics that I have not seen since. I would love for Streets of Rage to be like this game. Like, marry the two. That's what I was saying. Like, get a good beat 'em up game. Anyways, comic book shops is where you learn Fists of Stone and River City Ransom. Oh yeah, there you go. Let's see. Some Dragon Ball remembers. Freddy's Dead had a funny scene where the co-creator of Robot Chicken gets trapped in a video game by Freddy and gets hit in the head, and his video game daddy has a tennis. What the heck, Melissa? You're pulling out some obscure stuff. Let's see. Melissa says, I know Black Lightning from the comics. Right on. Marani says, I remember Black Lightning from Super Friends. Was Black Lightning in Super Friends? I don't remember that. And speaking of Eric Breen, where'd he go? He's like, you're not my daddy. Good night, Eric Breen. We'll miss you. Avengers have been around since the 60s. No, that's true. They have. Not that anyone except comic fans knew that, but you're right. Let's see. That's his name since the 50s and 60s. Wait, who are you talking about? Black Lightning wasn't part of the Avengers. He's part of DC. Let's see. Dragon Ball says, I'm at the River City High School. That's where I left. I beat up the gang leader named Thor with a metal rod. Yeah. They recently made like a River City Ransom sequel. It was like kickstarted and stuff, and it still kind of has like the pixelized graphics. It's better than the old school Nintendo one. It'd be like, this would have been something you could have seen on a Super Nintendo, which I'm like, it's kind of cool, but if you like those kind of games, if you like a brawler beat 'em up game, Yakuza might be up your alley. I don't know if it'll still be on. I'm gonna check after the stream's over if they're still on sale. They're like $12 for the games, and they got like a cool story. If your character, the Japanese really like to do these big narratives, so it's fun. Let's see. Oh, Breen's still here. I'm working on the old collection, and I bought Black Lightning #1 new off the spinner rack. Nice. Spencer Actor played in the Garfield. I don't know. Spencer Actor played in the Garfield film. What are you talking about, Melissa? I'm getting lost. Oh, you're talking about Billy Batson, but Billy Batson's not an Avenger either. I'm confused. I'm so. Oh my goodness. It can be tough with the comments sometimes, especially if you don't. If a comment's broken into 2 comments, but you only read one of them, so it's like reading half a sentence. You're like, what are you saying? It's not necessarily your fault. It can be mine. Let's see. Speaking of video games. There's this place called Humble Bundle. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of. I'm sure you have because you watch Ash on Comics and I talk about it. Humble Bundle is a place where you can get video games, not just video games. You can get software and stuff super, super cheap for like next to nothing. The idea is that it's for donation. So you're supposed to donate money and then get stuff. But every once in a while, not only do they do video games and software, but they'll do books and comic books. And I've talked about The Boys. Super deal. This is, if you like The Boys and you also get Project Superpowers, 26 books, $265 value, between $1 and $15 minimum. There's 3 tiers. If you donate at least $15 or more, then you get the top tier, which is the 26 books. If you get just $1, you get like the first 2 volumes of The Boys plus a couple others. It's ridiculous steal. I've talked about that one already, but there's a new one now. And I just share these because I love deals, and I live very much by the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, blah, blah, blah. So it's something I would want someone else to tell me. I have missed some serious deals on these Humble bundles. I'll tell you, man. I'm like, wait, they did a what bundle? And I'm kicking myself. So I wish people would tell me. I'm not a big Kieran Gillen fan. I know, but some people really are. And so they have a Humble bundle for him right now. That's 16 days left. Minimum $1, and you unlock 3 books. You get Die. Remember, we did Die on the show. You get the first volume of Die. You get The Wicked and the Divine, Volume 1, which I read back when I got back into comics, and I was like looking around to be like, what the hell? I was trying to acclimate myself to the modern comic era of what's going on. And this was a book that was being talked about in the indie scene. It was The Wicked and the Divine. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And conceptually, it is really cool. Conceptually, it's just not my thing. I think that's why Die didn't. It didn't really resonate with me. Same with Once and Future. I feel like you either are a Kieran Gillen fan or you're not. Like, it's like Jason Aaron. You got people like Jimmy who are just like, I want to lick your boots, Jason. I'll spit shine them, like whatever you do. And then I read Jason Aaron, I'm like, it's not me. Like, it's just, but people love him. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's one of the top creators at Marvel. People are buying his books. Kieran's the same way. Like, there's people like, oh yeah, Kieran Gillen, and that Once and Future came out. When Die came out, this thing was off the shelves. You could not find these. It was going in like 5th and 6th printing. But his style, there's something about the way he writes. I don't necessarily think he's a bad writer. I think he's a raw talent that, unfortunately, because he's in the modern era and he doesn't get to have editors like the old school days, like a Jim Shooter, or just, even some of the old school editor, like a Bob Harris, like before Bob became like one of the top dogs, when he was just like a group editor. And these guys that they knew the industry, they knew writing, and they knew how to shape the talent and rein them in. I think a lot of the new bloods don't have that. So sometimes you can see this talent bubbling out, but they don't have the discipline. They don't have the experience. They don't have someone to like really rein him in and keep him in check. And so that talent kind of just feels very chaotic and messy. I don't really know how else to describe it, but that's the way the Kieran comes off to me. Now, other people may not notice it. Like I said, people freaking out over Die and Once and Future. And several years back, Wicked and Divine was, like I said, that's the reason I read it, because like everyone's like, oh, Wicked and Divine. And conceptually, all these books actually that I'm mentioning are really cool. So here, if you pay $8, you get volume 2, 3, 4 of Wicked and Wicked and the Divine Deluxe Extras book. I don't know what the hell that's about. You get some of his other books, 3 Phonogram, Ludocrats, and then if you pay the $15 donation or higher, you get 5 and 6 of Wicked and Divine plus the extra deluxe thing. You get volume 2 of Die. I mean, seriously, if you're paying the price for one trade paperback, you're getting all of this. And like I said, you're part of what you're spending is going to charity. Oh, they have another tier. I've never seen this. A $20 or higher tier. I thought 15 was always the highest. So yeah, I guess if you paid 20, then you get all these extra books. You get a lot of stuff. And I know there's a lot of Kieran Gillen fans. So for you, if you are a Kieran Gillen fan, if you love Die it's worth it just to get, you get volume 2. Do you get volume 3? No, doesn't look like you get volume 3. But chances are, if you like Die and if you like Once and Future, you're probably going to like Wicked and the Divine. I think Wicked and the Divine would make an excellent TV show just because of the nature of the different characters. It's very much like an Angels and Demons type. Anyways, it's something the CW could do. I almost said could do well, but no, they probably wouldn't do it well, but they would be able to find an audience, I guess, for it. Man, I landed on this forever. Where am I? Let's go back to the chat. That's more interesting. You guys are way more interesting. Remember, kids, Ash is drunk when he does the stream. That's why he's always lost. Thanks, RDV, for covering me and making it so it's like I'm drunk instead of just loopy in the head and have Bidenitis. Drinking 2 beverages tonight. I got a big cup of iced coffee, and then I also have a glass of RC Cola because I was like, I can't drink spicy lemon Doritos and then chase it down with coffee. That's nasty. Did you hear about G4 Network revival in 2021? Oh my goodness. The G4 Network should have never existed. G4 killed Tech TV. And then they killed the shows that were the G4 shows that were cool. All because it's Comcast. I used to work for Comcast many years ago. Spoiler there. Many years ago. They're a shitty company. Just great. They're reviving G4 for what? It's going to be game journalism network. I mean, that's what G4 was meant to be like a game journalism network. And if it was shitty back, 10 years ago when they did it, imagine how shitty it'll be today when game journalism is nothing but wokeness. it's oh my God. RDB says Attack of the Show sucked after Olivia Munn left. Plus Revival will be just very PC. No one watched that show for the game reviews. I don't think Olivia Munn sucked on Attack. I mean, she was eye candy, but she sucked. What are you talking about, RDV? She was one of the reasons Attack of the Show sucked. It was the dude that was on the show. Like, he kind of halfway knew his shit. And so, like, I remember watching that show and just thinking the whole time, I was like, this is what's going on with sports casting, is they're trying to throw all these pretty women on there, but they don't really understand what they're talking about. And it's like guys who want to just watch, like, talk about football or something. Yes, we want to look at pretty women, but when we listen to guys, or not guys, just people talking about the game, we want like diehards. Like if you're a football fan and you want to listen to someone talking football, you don't want someone who's like, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm reading some talking points that were given it. Like, you want someone who's hardcore. And it's the same thing with any geekdom. If you're a comic geek, if you're a video game geek, yes, you want if you're a male, and I guess you're not gay, but you like looking at attractive women. That there's, of course, but there's at least like on the show, Olivia Munn didn't know shit. There was that other girl that had the other show, wasn't quite as attractive as Olivia. She was with Adam Sessler. What was that? I forget her name. She actually knew stuff. She was fun to listen to. But I just Olivia Munn was just, there's like video games and I like talk about them on TV, and like if she had a Twitch channel, she would have a legion of simps. That's all that was. That was a G4. Like, she was on there. That's pre-simp days. Ash the Cable guy. Ash the Cable when he's not fighting Deadite. I wasn't a cable guy. I just worked for the company. Cable TV is punishment nowadays. It's shown people in jail. Oh yeah. Ash Williams versus Duke Nukem. Dude, Duke Nukem is just a ripoff of Ash. Actually, Duke Nukem's a ripoff of multiple characters. A ripoff of Ash is a ripoff of the character from They Live, Roddy Piper's character, and it's a partial ripoff of Doom Guy. Let's see. I played the games and people watch me. I didn't watch them. Morgan Webb, says Cloudwalker. Yes, thank you, Morgan Webb. Oh, Melissa was first. She said too. Thank you both. RDV said it even further up. So got to give credit where credit's due. I liked Morgan Webb. She was like, I was like, hey, she's actually knows what she's talking about. She's not just some pretty girl that they're just putting up there. So thank you. I like when you guys correct me or inform me. Dragon Ball says, I've been trying to give Ash $3. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to do a song and dance if I get $3? Computer Robot says, Ash, I got a question for you. Do you think the liberals and conservatives are the fire and ice of politics, where liberals are the ice and the conservatives are the fire? No. If you're making a Game of Thrones reference, it's exactly the opposite. The Starks would be the conservatives, and the House Targaryen, Daenerys, would have been the liberals, which is why I think that show is so brilliant, because it reveals, like, Daenerys reveals her true nature in season 8, and all the people who are like, oh yeah, and this is exactly what liberalism is. It woos you with feel-good ideas, right? Oh yeah, these things we need to do. It feels good. But what happens when we have to murder 1 million people to make it happen? We'll just turn a blind eye, I guess. Don't pay attention. Just ignore it, deny, live in a bubble. That's what Daenerys represented. She was, if you go back and watch that show, a lot of people are like, oh, that's stupid. Go back and watch this. She was a murderer from the get-go. She murders her own brother. Spoiler alert. She murders her own brother. And she has a campaign of murder and slaying and killing to get what she wants, which is power. She revealed that to get followers, she would promise them, and be like their mother. Like, I'm going to take care of you, and if you follow me, everything will be good. But her ultimate personal goal, and what was revealed in season 8, was you have the opportunity right now. You now understand that you are not the true heir to the throne. Spoiler alert. You are not the true heir to the throne. So you can relinquish that because we have a suitable heir. And by the way, you can marry this person so you'd still really be on the throne. But it wasn't enough. Ultimately, the only thing that mattered to her was power, and she succumbed to it. And that's what liberalism ultimately is. It starts off with people with feel-good stuff, but it ultimately ends with power for power's sake. There is no other. Sorry, that's my political thing. I'll stop there. Glad to see you're doing well, says Cloudwalker. Well, glad to see you're here. I hope you're doing well also. I will give Ash his first super chat when he is monetized so he can buy a Milky Way bar. If I ever get monetized and you give me a super chat, I will buy I promise you, I will buy a Milky Way bar with it. That's very nice thought of you, RDV. I feel like Ash always puts off reading his comics on these streams. I do. RDV, I know you're not a noob anymore, but the stream is not just reading comics. It's like a little bit of talk show at the beginning, and then to read the comics. So, Long Halloween is pre-52 DC Comics. It's a Batman prequel. Sorta. It's just a different universe. I mean, yeah. But we might as well get into a comic. So, the first comic I have for this evening is American Vampire. This is something I've been interested in a while. And I thought, it's October. Let's be thematic, if you will. Like horror comics, right? Got Halloween. Long Halloween is 13 issues, and I'm going to read every one. Not tonight. And if I keep to the schedule and I don't miss any episodes, I will end Long Halloween on November 1st. So I thought it was 12 issues when I planned. I was like, oh, perfect. It'll be the whole month of October. And then I was like, oh, it's 13 issues, of course. So November 1st, which is actually fine because Halloween is really a celebration of, it's All Hallows Eve, which is Hallows Day is November 1st. So we'll get to that. Hopefully I won't mix it up. American Vampire is Scott Snyder, who everyone should know. And he actually started off as a horror writer before he came and made it big on DC's New 52. Ironically, is where Scott Snyder made it big by making the best comic of the New 52, arguably. He made his name being a horror writer. He's done several horror books, including this one for DC's Vertigo. May it rest in peace. And the first series, the first arc, includes Stephen King. So that's kind of a big deal. Like, Stephen King's, who are you and why? How's like one of the biggest authors in possibly American history is writing with you? All right, cool. So I'm not a huge vampire guy. I mean, sometimes when it's done right, it can be cool stories. Anything can be actually good. If you got good characters, then you can do good stories. But I don't necessarily gravitate towards vampires for vampire's sake. My dog is snoring. Jeez, I don't know if you guys can hear. It'll fill up the dead air, and then we got Long Halloween as the sequel or follow up for tonight. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first issue for this evening. Got the full screen on. Let's see. Melissa says, no, Long Halloween is set in the main DC universe before the New 52. It's basically a sequel to Year One, along with the Man Who Laughs and the Monster Men and more. Yeah, but Melissa, you have to understand is the New 52 is the main DC universe after the Crisis. Like, the New 52 is the universe that DC's in now. It's just I know what you're saying, that the Long Halloween was pre-New 52. That was the universe that DC had. But there was a universe before that, even, that predates that. So DC does these reboots where they do these crises and they reboot their universes. So yes, it was the main DC universe, but now the New 52 is the main DC universe. So I don't know. Whatever. I don't know why I'm even arguing that. It's just, if it's a good book is all I care about. Dun, dun, dun. Might give computer robots a virus. What? Anyways, all right. That's enough. I already know where I'm at on the I'll mark the chat. Here we go. No, I need a drink. Coffee, actually, to keep me awake. That'd be really bad if I just fell asleep in the middle of doing a stream, just reading comics. That'd be totally embarrassing. All right, here we go. And here we go. This is the alternate cover by Jim Lee. Back in the day when Jim Lee would draw an alternate cover to help sell books, and now modern fans don't care. It's an alright cover. I think the coloring is pretty lackluster. Like, I think Jim Lee is a fantastic illustrator, penciler. The colorist did him no favors on this cover. Jesus. Ugh. July. Oh wait, before I go any further, FYI, disclaimer, this book and also Long Halloween are cold reads, meaning I have not read either of these books before. When they're cold reads, it oftentimes is much harder to do voice work. Not that I'm a good voice actor anyway, but it means I have no planned voices for people. And I just sort of like come up on the fly, and sometimes it works and sometimes it fails miserably. Please bear with me and understand. I hope I don't do anything awful. And sometimes I've even changed a voice mid-comic before where I was like, that voice is not working. I'll just change it and see if anyone notices. No one said anything, so. All right, sorry. On with the show. July 1925, 30 miles east of Los Angeles. We see a car driving in the distance. I was 8 years old the first time I saw a moving picture. It was my birthday. My father took me to Topeka for the afternoon. There was a general store near the railroad that had one of those long, winding candy counters. Big Break. Written by Scott Snyder, artist Raphael Albuquerque. My father gave me 1 pound basket and told me that I could fill it with anything I wanted. So I was walking the counter, taking my time, when I noticed this strange light coming from beneath a curtain at the back of the store. I poked my head behind the curtain to see. I couldn't believe my eyes. Oh, this is not PG. The grocer and his wife, they had turned the storage room into a makeshift Nickelodeon. They'd set up some folding chairs, rolled out a piece of butcher paper for a screen. And on that screen was the most amazing sight I'd ever seen. All these men and women made of light. Pictures, but alive. The people on the screen, they were loading a rocket into a giant cannon. Everyone cheering and counting down. And by now my father was calling me, telling me it was time to pick my candy and go. But I couldn't look away, because the rocket, it was taking off, flying. Please. Going higher and higher. I'm alive. All the way to the moon. 3 days ago. And I guess that was the beginning of the end. Oh, come on, the old trip to the moon short. What? It's beautiful and funny and sad. It's a classic Hattie. Boring. Okay, Miss DeMille, so what was your first? First ever? Romeo and Juliet. With Florence Turner. And no one knew her name back then. She was just that photographed girl. But once the movie ended, everyone in the theater started asking who she was. And that, my dear, was when I knew I wanted to be in the movies. Mr. Hamilton is on the set. Look at that dog on his arm, Pearl. He's too pretty for her. He's too pretty, period. They say he's got a little silver comb just for his mustache. Pearl, you're my best friend, but you keep talking bad about my future husband. You and I are going to have words. Okay, extras, into character, action in 5. And remember, we want terror. Terror, take 9. Say something scary, will you? The rent's due tomorrow. Eee! Later. Ugh. I feel like a canned tuna. How many times can they drown us? I need a drink. You sport? I still have some of Big Ellie's wine. Gross. She makes that stuff in her bathtub, Hattie, with her feet. Anyway, I barely have time to change. I wasn't kidding about the rent, you know, but if I can cover you if you need. I love you, baby, but you're not working 3 jobs to cover your deadbeat roommate. Speaking of deadbeats, he's back again. This is the 3rd day in a row. Well, enough is enough. If he's here tomorrow, I'm gonna say something. Wait, what if he's a sex fiend or something? Then I'll be sure to give him your number. That night. Knock, knock. Hi, Bob. Busy tonight, Pearly? Going to be a late one? Smoke's here. Nickel a pack. I'll take 2 of those and 1 of you. Haha, cute. Dawn. Just 8 more hours, Pearl. You are a warrior. A warrior. So, am I going 4 for 4 here? Oh, hey, Henry. Come again? Well, I've asked you for coffee 3 times. And so far, I've come up with 3 straight strikeouts. So how about it? You want to grab a cup? I'm sorry, but I have to run into work. I'm on the morning shift and the Happy Egg over on Sunset. I know it. I'll walk you. That's okay, really. Pearl, it's just a walk. Some friendly conversation. I'm not swinging for the fences here. I'm bunting. Let a man bunt. Okay? That was a sports ball reference for Eric Breen. Eric Breen got it. Are you still here, Eric Breen? Hopefully he is. He would have really liked that line. Continuing. And after that band dissolved, I traveled for about 6 months, riding the rails. I can't believe it. I'm walking with an actual hobo. I prefer the term gentleman wayfarer. Okay, now it's your turn to tell me something surprising about you. There isn't much to tell. Oh, come on. You've got some kick to you, I can tell. No offense, but why are you so interested? I mean, I see you up there every night. You got girls all over you. Eager, beautiful girls. Okie dokie, forget I asked. All right. I have a tattoo. It's nothing big, just a little one. A black sunflower. My father raises them on our farm. So, where is it? Hey, Babe Ruth. You're bunting, remember? I used to hide in the black petals when I was just a little girl, imagining all sorts of different lives for myself. Anyway, Hattie and I were drinking and she dared me, and I guess I just wanted something to remind me of home. It was stupid. What's stupid about it? Now, if the acting doesn't pan out, you can just get a couple more tattoos and join the circus. Very practical. Well, a girl's got to have a backup plan, right? Listen, I'm headed out to the beach for the 4th. I'd be honored if you and your sunflower tattoo would join me. If I do, will you tell me some good hobo stories? I mean, really, really spicy ones? Pearl, your ears will bleed. He called you a bunt? No, I called me a bunt. Anyway, that's not the point. Hey, you, slave girl number 2. Me? No, your mother. Yes, you, come with me. We need someone to get a light reading for Miss Claremont before she gets here. Psst. That's my roommate. Here, let me. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Oh, come now. You're my princess, milady. Call me Chase, and you are... Lights. Pearl. Pearl Jones. I'm your slave. I mean, I play your slave, which you can tell, obviously, by my clothes, and I'm gonna stop talking now. Wow. Movie magic, dear. Good. Brighten, brighten. She still looks that same sickly pale. I prefer deathly pale, actually. Oh, I think you make a fine princess of Atlantis, but you know, It's you who brings down the kingdom. You catch me with your sister in our clamshell of a bed. Hell hath no fury, and so on. Oh, well, I apologize in advance for killing you, Prince Chase, and everyone else, too. Apology accepted. You know, I like you. You've got something special about you. A quality. BD is throwing a party at his place tonight out on the bluffs. BD? As in BD Block, the producer of the movie? Here, the address. I want you to meet him. If my instincts are correct, he'll gobble you right up. Will you come on already? I'm putting on my face. You gals sure do clean up nice. Well, well, creepy cowboy man. You know, I understand that the giant sign on the gate can be easy to miss, but this place is supposed to be for women only. Oh, you love it. Come again? Admit it. You old birds love having a cock in your henhouse. Listen, I don't know which poor girl you shacked up with, but I ain't shacked up with anyone, Dolly. I just like your pool. My dance card is open. I'm swooning. Why don't you take off that hat and let me see what I've won? I'm guessing you've got a certain dashing elephant man look about you. Oh, it's worse. Much, much worse. But I'm pretty on the inside. God, why are the jerks always the cute ones? Look, just don't be here tomorrow, or I really will call someone. The sheriff? The sheriff, exactly. And she'll run you out of town before you know what hit you. She'll run me out of town. You know what? You got spunk, girly. So I'll let you in on a little secret. BD Block's parties? They ain't any fun at all. No, if I were you, I'd pass on that little jamboree tonight. Wow, and you eavesdrop too? So I take it you and BD are good friends? More like old acquaintances. Actually, I'm just in town to finish a bit of business with the old coot. And believe me, honey, his get-togethers, bunch of cheese-sniffing Europeans drinking with their pinkies out. Why don't you stay here? I'll show you a real party. Thanks, but I happen to like drinking with my pinky out. Oh, I like this girl. She and I can drink with our pinkies out. Sorry, continuing. Okay, I'm ready to... Oh, hi. Remember what I said about tomorrow. Suit yourself. But you're going to be kicking yourself in the morning. Geez, it's like a museum in here. Funny, for a big-time movie producer, the guy doesn't have any memorabilia around. Sure he does. There's Harold Lloyd by the bar, and over there's Louis Brooks. Oh, and there's Lon Chaney behind the ice sculpture. Stars upon stars. I've died and gone to heaven. And just in case old BD waves his magic wand and makes you a big star tonight, and I never see you again, I just want to say thanks. Thanks? For what? Because you dope. You inspire me. Let me read that wrong. Because you dope. You inspire me. You really do. You've got this dream and you never give up. You're so tough, Pearl. Tough? I take the 9 card downtown every night to get to the club. It passes right by the Union Pacific tickets office, and I'm telling you, there isn't a single night that I don't think about going inside that station and buying a ticket home. But every day I try to remember the small good things that have happened already. Meeting you, Hat, for one. The way the sun feels on my skin, that weird sweet sound the palm trees make outside of our balcony. BD? By force of will, I make myself believe that maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. Let me present Miss Pearl Jones. I will get to be part of something special. Pleasure to meet all of you. I just want to say what an honor it is to meet you, Mr. Block. I've been a fan of your films for years, ever since I was a little girl. Funny, I've stopped paying much attention to them myself. Oh, that can't be. True, it is, my girl. But impossible to ignore is all this noise about the so-called talkies. Have you heard of these? Films with synchronized sound? What's going on? Soon, very soon, you will be able to hear for the first time the voices of America's biggest movie stars. Hear them talking and singing, begging for your attention. And I will make these films for you, Miss Pearl. But, you see, the bitter irony of the situation. Please don't. Is that I myself don't want to hear anything you have to say. Ah! To be continued. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's see what the chat is going on. Oh, Eric's still here. Good to see you, Eric. Organizing his comic room. That's a good way to stay awake while you listen to Ash read you comics. Is organize your comics room. Although I realize that most of you don't have comics rooms. Not all of us can be Eric Breen, superstar back issue extraordinaire. That didn't make sense. Back issue guru extraordinaire? We'll come up with something. I'm sure the chat can come up with a good, appropriate title. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Where do we pick up from? I don't know. RDV says, if only someone would let me read. If only there was this thing where you could, anyone could go and create an account and then make a video and record online and do things. If only everyone had that ability, I don't know, RDV. I feel you. Oh wait, hey man, if you want to do something, talk to me behind the scenes. We can't, obviously. I don't want to talk to you over this, but yeah, if you want to do something, I have extended the invitations out. I get no return. It kind of makes me self-conscious, to be honest, but we'll keep continuing. Dragon Ball says, let RDV read. Hey, it is Halloween, and if you want something scary, RDV reading a comic book to you would be pretty horrific, I would imagine. Oh, wait, I was just trying to be funny. No, but I'm get in touch with me, Bankman. Dragon Ball Talk, thanks to Just Hate the New 52. My friend Professor Geek told me the Flashpoint was originally not a Crisis reboot, but a one-off time travel story till Dan used it to ruin DC. No, he didn't ruin DC. Without New 52, you don't get Rebirth, and Rebirth is one of my favorite things of DC. So, sometimes you roll the dice and you do things bad. Not everything can be Jim Shooter era Marvel. And even Jim Shooter era Marvel's not perfect, man. Jim Shooter did the New Universe. So, if you think the New 52 was bad, well, the New Universe admittedly didn't take existing characters and mutate them, but I think the New 52 was better than New Universe. There were some good things about the New Universe, but overall it was a pretty big failure. Not as big as Ultimate Universe, but come on. I mean, it didn't have Bendis back then. I kid. Jimmy's not here anyway, so I'm not really kidding. Sorry. Let's see. Alternate reality BS sucks. Okay, I choose the redhead. If by the third page no action, I don't read the rest. Nothing to keep me around. Jeez, Dragon Ball. Sorry that. Jeez. All right. You're missing out because most of the best stories have a lot of setup and character development before action. If just jumping straight into action is usually some of the most trivial BS stories, and it's like the equivalent of, I don't know, like fast food. It just, yeah, sometimes it seems appealing, but after you're done, you're like, I didn't really get much out of it. One day hopefully one day you'll come across something really, really well done with character development and drama, and you'll understand that there can be action just in a character's mind, just in the conflict of what a character is dealing with. Not everything has to be like a fight, a physical fight. Fights are just a representation of conflict, and that conflict can be literally anything. And if it's engaging enough, if you care about the conflict enough, it doesn't matter what that is, whether it's a cook-off, or, playing a card game. They made the Japanese have made like whole tons of like shows based around card battling games, just because, not that I'm advocating Yu-Gi-Oh or something is like super great, but my point is you can find things to be compelling, usually if you care about the characters. Caring about characters is what drives conflict, Anyway, what am I doing? I'm just getting caught up into this. Let's see. Breen got like 500 comics to sift through. He's busy probably. Breen probably sleeps on a mattress of comics. That'd be funny, Breen. You should make a mattress of comics and sleep on it. RDV says, plot twist, she's a vampire. Plot twist, you're wrong. That's good storytelling. See, when you call the plot twist and you're wrong, that means that they fooled you. Who's that with the hat dog? Logan? What? I don't know. Dragon Ball Talk, Press for Geeks said, oh, yeah, we covered that. Let's scroll down. Eric says, let Venkman read. All right. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm the only one on here right now. RDB says, Ash wants me to steal his gig. You're welcome to it. It's not paying me much, but maybe you can turn it into something lucrative. I don't know. Melissa says, Silver burns them, Holy Water too, and Torn's Jesus Christ crown is made of harms all artifacts they can cross. Oh, Melissa's reading, describing the classical vampire mythology lore. Not every vampire story follows that, which I think is important. I don't want everything to be tied into Bram Stoker's Dracula. Let's see. Dan Didiot wants everything to be Marvel. He ruined DC. He didn't ruin DC. He oversaw a bad time for DC. But there was good things in New 52, to be quite honest. So I disagree. Let's see. Ronnie said, again, that's one vampire legend. Different legends for vampires. That's what I was saying. Can have them different vulnerabilities. He may have created his own legend for vampires with different rules. Exactly. And that's usually a smart thing to do when you're making a vampire story, is you don't want them to be cookie cutter exactly, because then you don't have surprises, right? It's like, oh, we all know they don't like garlic and holy water burns. It's like this cookie cutter. Although you can go the other direction and make it like Twilight, where it's like, hey, look, vampires can go out in the sun and they just sparkle. Yay! What about them as vampires again? I don't get it. So let's see. Eric says, at least Jim Shooter got talked out of rebooting Marvel with the new universe and relegated it to a side project. Bullet dodged. Possibly, Eric. But one could argue that the new universe wasn't bad because of its own sake. One could argue that the new universe was bad because it was a bunch of dumb characters that no one was interested. I mean, I bought all the new universe titles. I was all the way. I was all in. And now in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, Night Mask Spider-Man, I'd rather read Spider-Man all day long. Like, most of the characters in the universe just weren't good. They were not interesting. Starbrand was probably my favorite because Jim was writing a really interesting story that Marvel didn't have. Like, Marvel didn't have its own Superman story. Like, Marvel's always been a lot more grounded than DC. So writing about a character who can pretty much do anything, right, is kind of the problem that DC has over there with Superman. And deciding, okay, well, what kind of stories do we tell about a character who essentially can do almost anything? It can't just be about the physical fights. And I think Starbrand had some interesting things that Marvel never really dealt with too often, because they just didn't have the characters to do that with. Like, every character, Marvel's shtick was always like, all these characters are flawed and they have weaknesses, and that's it, you know? Like, whereas, so, yeah, I don't know. I think if you replace DP7 with X-Men, and you replace, Night Mask with Ghost Rider, like, rebooting the DC, yeah, you didn't need to ultimately, you're right. I agree with you. Ultimately, I'm glad they didn't reboot, because Marvel wasn't broken. It didn't need a reboot. It needed to get back on course. It was kind of, those little bumps on the side of the road for the truckers to wake them up if they're sleeping, where it starts vibrating. That's kind of where Marvel was drifting, and there's like, oh, it's straighten out. That's all you needed to do. It's a little nudge of the steering wheel. And then just be consistent. And, we all know history. Well, hopefully we know the history. And then, of course, later on, Marvel would reboot with its pseudo reboot with the new universe. No, it's not the universe. Sorry, the Ultimate Universe. Thankfully, Marvel, the big mistake that the New 52 made is the one that they should have. If Dan Didion really wanted to be like Marvel, he should have paid attention. And even Marvel realized, hey, when we do this Ultimate Universe, we need to not kill what we had. We'll make this new thing, and they'll run side by side. The problem that DC had was that they made the New 52, and then they killed the old thing. It's like, and so you alienated all the people who are like, but we liked this old thing. You killed it. If they would have said, here's the old school DC universe, and you're still getting your old DC Superman, your Batman, all this stuff, and now we have this New 52, which is like a different multiverse, just like Ultimate Universe, I think it would have worked. Or at least it would have worked for a time. And if it failed, just like Ultimate Universe, I don't think people would have been bitter about it. They'd have been like, because it would have let people opt in or opt out as they wanted to. It's kind of like this new 5G thing. I was all pissed off when I heard like they were going to replace Batman and do all this stuff. Like, that was, but now it's this separate thing. They're not even calling it 5G anymore. I think they're calling it something next, or some future next. I don't even know, some dumb name. But I'm like, I don't have to pay attention. It's some Black Label book. I can just ignore it. But for the people who are interested and go, no, that sounds really cool, they get it. It works for everybody. We'll see. Wow, there's a lot of stuff. Scroll down. Shooter wanted to do a Crisis-style reboot leading to the new universe. That would have finished Marvel. Yeah, the new universe as it was done, yes. I don't know if it would have finished Marvel if they actually would have rebooted and like had Spider-Man and the X-Men and the Avengers, and because essentially Marvel's kind of done that for the movies. Like, and Marvel's never been bigger. Now, not in comics, but most people prefer the movie Marvel over the comics Marvel. And part of that, a big chunk of that actually, is because they've not actually experienced both of them. So it's kind of out of ignorance, but it's also because that's what they know and they're happy with it. Like, I don't think rebooting Marvel is necessarily bad, especially today. Back then, Marvel was great. They didn't need a reboot. But today, I would be all in. I'd be like, wait, you're going to reboot all this crap that you've done? 25 years of screwing up the X-Men, 25 years of screwing up Spider-Man. basically all of Marvel. It's all, we can just flush it down the toilet. And credit to, I'm telling you, Jonathan Hickman has given them the nuclear option. That whole Moira McTaggart, the House of X, Powers of X, the Moira McTaggart is just a reset button waiting to happen. All you gotta do, boop, press the button, all new universe. Let's see. Anything happen or just talking comic? I read the comics for big battles and action. All right, fair enough. Hey, you do you, buddy. I may challenge your opinions. I may disagree with you. I may try to persuade you to have a different perspective, but it's not judgmental. Like, ultimately, your life is yours, and you should do the things that work for you. That's fine. But sometimes if I disagree and I go, I don't think that's the way to go, I'm going to tell you. But it's not coming out of like, you're a shitty person. Don't take it that way, please. It's just me trying to maybe give you a different perspective and lead you onto something else. Because maybe a long time ago, someone did that for me. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad someone, steered me along. Let's see. Dragon says, I'd Goose Harley. She'd probably whoop your ass and then leave you for dead. She'd probably murder you because she is a murderer. Let's see. Open a can of worms with Melissa and X-Men. Run away! Run! Melissa's exploding. Computer says, bye guys, going to get some sleep. See you next stream. Wait, you're a robot. You don't sleep? What? My mental editor says Marvel did reboot in 2012. All new, all different. Equals me, all gone. Oh, poor sad story for Eric Breen. I should do the things that work for me before I fall asleep. Read the comic. See, this is the part where Venkman thinks that I'm his subservient. I'm here existing just for him. All right, Venkman, we're going to continue on with the comic now. Getting a little cranky. I'm going to warm up your baba for you, and then you can tuck you in with your blankie, and here we go. 1980, Sidewinder, Colorado. Now, this is the sub-story of American Vampire. This is the one written by Stephen King. I only wrote one novel in my life, Bad Blood. But that was enough to make me rich, and the irony, most of it was true. My name is Will Bunting. And I was there. Bad Blood. Writer Stephen King. Artist Raphael Albuquerque. When your children ask you, you can tell them that the most notorious murderer and bank thief in American West was captured right here in Sidewinder by this courageous knight of law and order. 3 cheers for James Book of the Pinkerton Agency. Damn it to hell. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hang him! Hanging's too good for Skinner Sweet. Burn him alive! Whee! Ding, ding! Let's go get that candy-eating whore master hung. I'm going inside. This sun is killing me. I have very fair skin, you know. I better spell Deputy Camillo. Ever heard Haas balls pop on a bonfire at a gelding party? That's what a man's head sounds like when it gets burned alive. I want you to know, Senor Camillo, because I doubt you'll actually hear it. You'll feel it, though. That's enough, sweet. Well, the hero of the day. Can I get your autograph? Go get yourself something to eat, Felix, before those writers gobble it all. I don't want none of that. But how about that peppermint stick in my hat? How about you shut up and take a nap? I'll sleep when I'm dead. Come on, Pink. My sweet tooth is driving me crazy. Where's Ronnie Jeeks and the Blackmouth twins? Tell me I just might unpin that candy for you. That's for me to know, and you to find out. What if the crash kills them all, Ronnie? What if it kills Skinner? What if the engineer sees and throws on the brakes? By the time yonder train comes around that corner, Jesus Christ himself couldn't stop it. As for the boss, he's too tough to die, remember? No witnesses. Lawmen from Kansas to Arizona tried to nail Skinner Sweet, but it took the Pinkerton agency to, pardon my pun, bring him to book. It was the most dangerous operation the agency has ever undertaken, and I did the planning personally. It wasn't cheap either, but Percy knows when to open the purse strings. Percy? Purse strings? More champagne. More champagne, absolutely. Need more sun cream. Damn skin's practically baking off me. He makes it sound like it was captured in the biggest battle since Shiloh Church instead of sleeping it off in some whore's sperm hammock. Want to set him straight, Pink? Nope. Finch pays my salary and Percy pays his. And all their robberies are nice and legal. Blowing the balls off Special Agent Henry Finch after I escape is going to be my pleasure. You look doubtful, Special Agent Book. Not at all. Every highwayman escapes in the end. Through a trapdoor and straight into hell. Yours is waiting in New Mexico. After Finch, I'm thinking about doubling back to Sidewinder and killing the greaser who peached me up. Your amigo Felix's father, wasn't it? Maybe I'll see how much of his reward money I can stuff down his throat before he chokes. For a man taken drunk in his underwear, you're well informed. About many things, Pink. I keep my ear to the ground. Let me have my candy and I'll tell you where the loot from the Bakersville Lark tucked away. You'd get a nice bonus. Or hell, keep it for yourself. Buy that little fiancé of yours some pretty little silk skimmies. How do you know about Ella Langham? Told ya, I know a lot. And I could tell. If I got to satisfy my sweet tooth, that is. We got almost $20,000 from that Bakersfield bank. Your boss filled his pants on both sides if you dropped him. Sorry, your boss would fill his pants on both sides if you dropped that news on him. Thank you kindly, Pink. Name's Book. I think I'll stick to Pink. That Bakersfield job went smooth as silk to start with. Bakersville, Colorado, 6 months ago. The vault was loaded, Pink. Mining company payroll money. We had 2 boys with the horses and another across the street standing lookout. I saw no reason why the boys shouldn't have a little fun with the gals. Ronnie Jeeks has more, Catholic tastes. It was supposed to be the goddamn loan officer's day off. Blam! Blam, 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 blam. There was a fair smart of shooting. What old mines were we mostly hit up? The last year or so, the sign's too illiterate to miss. Sign says, keep out. 6 men died here. Don't you be another. That kid was only 3 years old. I feel hot tears of sorrow rising in my eyes. Watch him, Felix. I want a soda water. And a wash. I feel dirty. Come on over, Jim. The boys want a few quotes. Boo. Click. Skinner lives. Everyone else dies. No survivors, no witnesses. Boo. You can't fool me like that twice. How stupid do you think I am? Pretty stupid, Beaner boy. Oh, that's not appropriate language in a comic book these days. Mr. Stephen King, I believe you're canceled. Whoops, so guy's pulling out his gun. What the? Break! Crash. Chomp. Hello, boys. Just like God planned it. And who's God? You are, boss. What about Book? Don't worry. I'll take care of him. Blam! Turkey shoot. Wee-oo! I could kill you with this. It's as sharp as a new razor blade. But then it throw dirt on your little sweet Ellis coffin. What? I figured how lonely she must be, you out chasing me and all. So I sent her a bottle of wine. A real nasty vintage. Ella, my sweetheart, drink deep, and you will taste my kisses. Love, Jim. It never would have worked anyway, Pink. I did you a favor. You crack. Say goodbye, fuckwad. No, please, no. I'll do anything. Hold up, Jinxie. He's mine. I'd promised myself I'd blow off his I'll kill you, you bastard. Go on. Put one in his head. Don't tell me you don't want to. No? Okay. Blam! No, boss! What I saw next was surely colored by my imagination as well as by dying hues of that terrible day's sunset. But what I saw is more real than any dream or memory. Look at old man Percy. He's mighty bold. I think I've had enough of your shit, Mr. Sweet. And I've had enough of yours, Percy. Shoot 'em, boys. Blam, 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 blam. You're dead. You can't. I'm not, and I can. I knew I would write this. I had to write this, even if no one believed it. Rah! Ah! You wretched clown. Blam! That all you got, banker man? Blam! Blip! Is he... Just grazed him, thank God. Where the hell is Percy? He's ruined everything. He was supposed to be an example of what happens to people who steal from my bank and my railroad. Clud. I only wish you could feel it, you murdering asshole. Not exactly the way I planned it, but done is done. Rest in peace, Skinner Sweet. I started writing that very night, and I think I knew two things even then. That what I wrote could only be published as fiction. 1880, 1909. And Skinner Sweet's story wasn't over, but just beginning. 1925. So that Stephen King story seems to be a little bit of a backstory for that character we saw by the pool. Interesting. I enjoyed this. It's a good book. Not wowing me yet, so I'm just going to give it a 3, but I can definitely see some potential. It's just the first chapter. We got to get the second book before I forget. There we go. Got cool covers. All right, let's get back to the chit chat. Oh, Eric Breen's still around? Is he? Eric says he's off to dream of electric sheep. Very nice one, Eric. Talking about computer robots going to bed. And do androids dream of electric sheep? Only computer robots knows. Ash, read my comment, says Melissa. Let's see. Which comment? You did a lot of comments. Cyclops, and we're both just kind of starting. But let's see. Vampires can't walk in sunlight. No. Dracula can't walk in sunlight. And the vampires based on the Dracula lore can't. But not every vampire is Bram Stoker's. So let's see. Melissa says they're creatures of the night. Yeah, that typically they are. That's very typical. What we saw here was this particular vampire was affected by the sun, but he stayed out of the light. If you saw, he wore big long cloaks. He wore a big wide-brimmed hat. So he was constantly in the shade. Obviously, being inside the train would keep you out of direct sunlight. And he still had that comment where he was like, he needed the cream because he was still burning. So it sounds like through modern medicine, if you will. I mean, modern for the time. I get these vampires are able to be somewhat in the light to a degree. Which I kind of like, actually, in some ways, because I like when you're basing something off of an existing myth, when you have things that don't necessarily stick 100% to that myth, right? Especially I find it very interesting when we talk about the truths of things. Like, for example, there is a very, very rare blood condition. Sorry, not a blood condition. There's a very rare condition that people have allergy to sunlight. And apparently there's something to do with like blood transfusions or something that like actually is like a remedy. And I know very little of the details on this, but it's thought that this sort of thing is where the whole mythos of vampires has come from, because, back in the Dark Ages, people wouldn't have been able to scientifically put things together. They would be like, oh my God, it's a vampire. And things like putting a stake in the chest, right? Because it's an interesting thing is, like, there's a reason why if you die, if someone today, like if you die in like modern times, you're not really dead until an actual doctor or a coroner pronounces you dead. You need to actually have a medical expert examine you and identify you as dead, because there have been cases of people who have been in a coma and catatonic, and by all layman appearances, which would have been anyone in like the Dark Ages or even like the 1800s, being like, they're dead, like can't rouse them, and they just didn't know how to tell, and they start burying someone. They buried people alive because they weren't really dead, and people have woken up, and then that again is viewed from a non-scientific mind set that goes, oh my God, they come back to life. They're like undead. And people don't see it correctly. A stake through the heart obviously is going to make sure anyone's dead. So putting a stake through a heart of someone in the grave, they ain't coming back. Let's see. Pearl and Skinner are major characters throughout the American Vampires run, says Eric Breen. Well, thank you for spoiling that. No, I don't know. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but thank you. I kind of figure that those... Well, now I know. I guess it's kind of a minor spoiler because now I know they're not going to die. I know Pearl's not dead next episode or issue. RDB says, great story. American Vampire 1976 issue number 1 hits the shelves on Wednesday. Ruh-roh. It's buffering for me. Is it still buffering? Let me check the iPad. Do I hear myself? On Wednesday. Nope. There you go. White Circle of Death. And he's back. Okay, so... well, I'm glad that some people seem to like the American Vampire so far. This was a popular series. It ran for a while at DC and Vertigo. Why DC couldn't keep Vertigo? I'm not going to get down the Vertigo rabbit hole. it's like... but yeah, there is a brand new American Vampire book coming out. I forgot. There's also an American Vampire book with Sean Gordon Murphy art. I think it's the 3rd volume. So, I kind of wanted to do that one, but I was like, I should start at the beginning. So, this business is cool. I enjoyed it. Eric says, you don't know that Ash, or do you? Dun, dun, dun. Ronnie says, I'm indifferent about the series so far, but I'll give it a chance. Appreciate that. Got a few viewers watching, so let's continue with the show. Because God knows I'm not here for RDV and Breen. I don't care what they say. No, just kidding. I love you guys. No homo. Or maybe so. Who knows? I feel like loopy today. Wait, why? No. Oh yeah, I forgot. I gotta bring it to... talking to myself as I'm doing stuff. Okay, next book for the evening, the big one, is Long Halloween. I'll be doing a marathon, 13 episodes of Long Halloween. Surprise or not surprised, depending on how well you know me, I have never read Batman Long Halloween. I have Batman Long Halloween. I've had it for a while. I've just never read it. I am a weird procrastinating person, and sometimes just getting me to pick up and crack that first page, it's a weird psychosis I have. I'm not going to go into the details here, but I figured it's October. I wanted something thematic to October. I wanted comic books, and I figured Batman, Halloween, it all comes together, and it is an excuse for me to finally get off, shit or get off the pot, as they say. And so now I'm going to experience Batman Long Halloween for the first time. I know probably most everyone listening has read this before, so you are going to get my thoughts on this book. Again, it's a cold read, so I might mess up voices. I'll mess up voices anyway, but I'll do my best. And hopefully hopefully you guys have an entertaining time with this. RDV says, at least he has the drinking. I don't have a drinking excuse. I'm drinking coffee. Normally I'm drinking beer. I would have an excuse. But I only have one beer left, and I didn't want to. And I was tired. And if I drink a beer, I would pass out. I want some more of those Doritos though, but I can't eat Doritos and read comics at the same time. I am True Skill says, "What's up, Ash? You're right in time for the Long Halloween." Legends of the Dark Knight. Batman, the Long Halloween. A haunting tale of Gotham City in 13 parts by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I believe in Gotham City. I only came here tonight out of respect for my parents who knew your family. Your father was more than just a friend to my father, Bruce. Wait, was that a female voice? Your father was more than just a friend to my father, Bruce. That was a long time ago. Everything around me is a lie. Carmine, the Roman Falcone, Gotham City's untouchable crime lord, is throwing a society wedding for his nephew, Johnny Vitti. It seems only yesterday the Roman tried to get a hired knife slid between his nephew's ribs. Who's narrating? This is annoying already. I'm sorry. I hate when I don't know who the hell is talking. Sorry. Johnny was going to tell everything he knew about the Roman to the grand jury. Extortion, corruption, murder. All of it. But Johnny never testified. He's getting married instead, with the Roman paying for it. All of it. And now you have so many new friends, Mr. Falcone. So many wealthy, influential friends. Isn't that Richard Daniel out there? I'm a very lucky man. Richard tells me the Gotham City Bank is open to the idea of doing business with Falcone Imports. I'm counting on you, Bruce, to be as accommodating. Don't. I won't vote for or influence the board on your behalf, regardless of whatever position you've gotten Richard to take. That's disappointing. Enjoy the rest of the party, Bruce. Try the cannoli. I had them flown in from Italy. Fresh. Life is made up of little disappointments, Mr. Falcone. It makes what we do so challenging. Perhaps I could encourage Wayne like the others. I don't think that'll be necessary, Milos. Richard assures me we have enough votes. Although, Bruce Wayne certainly would have cinched it for us. Need any help? I went looking for the washroom, and I guess I got turned around. Too much champagne will do that, you know. Alberto Falcone, Harvard MBA, Oxford Rhodes Scholar. The good son. Down the hall to your right, Mr. Wayne. Very special night. Particularly the cannoli. Time to go to work. It's late. It's hot. Even for June. Years from now, when people are talking about the weather, they'll say, it's hot. But not as hot as the night Johnny Vitti got married. Hello, Selina. Care to dance, Bruce? Johnny, come over here. Yes, Mama. Tell your mama about that big fella, the handsome one, dancing with that woman. Him? That's Bruce Wayne, Mama. His old man and Uncle Carmine used to be pals or something. So, that's Bruce Wayne. Yeah, you want I should make him say hello or something, Mama? Selina Carlisle. Suddenly, leaving has lost its urgency. I think I said the name wrong. Selena Kyle. Sorry. Just look at my sister out there, smiling like the cat about to eat the canary. If anything ever happens to me, Alberto, you don't have to look further than your Aunt Carla in Chicago. Don't talk like that, Pop. Nothing's going to happen to you. Although you should know I saw Bruce Wayne snooping around out. Alberto. Good-looking boy like yourself should be chasing after some nice, pretty girl at the wedding. Not worrying about things that don't concern you. But I want to help. Mr. Falcone, you might want to have a look at this. Dent. Yes, sir. Garage level B. You know, Harvey, if you had any sense at all, which you don't, you'd be at home with a fan on and a bottle of beer. But no, you've got to spend the hottest night of the year in a parking garage, writing down license plates for the all hoodoos in the cesspool of a sticking your nose in again, Dent, where it isn't welcome. One of these days you'll stick it in too far and that pretty wife of yours. Harvey, you all right? Miss Kyle and I were just leaving, and luckily we heard you. I hope I didn't spoil your evening. I guess that's the same as thanks for making sure I didn't need help. No, really. You society types go ahead and do whatever it is that you do when you're doing it. The rest of us will take care of what needs to be done. And what needs to be done? You wouldn't understand, Wayne. Good night, Miss Lyle. And, thanks for making sure I didn't need help. Friend of yours? I've contributed to his campaign for district attorney. I believe in Harvey Dent. In this city, that's saying something. So, Bruce, have any plans for the rest of the evening? I apologize, Selena, but it is late, even for me. Your loss. Of course I know how late it is, Barbara. I'm packing up now. I love you too, dear. No, that's okay. Let the boy go to sleep. Captain Gordon. Who? Harvey. You look like you've been hit by a truck. Got anything to drink, Jimbo? I could really use a drink. I went over to the Falcone wedding. Guess I wasn't on the guest list. Harvey, we talked about this. We've talked about taking needless chances. And Falcone has us outmanned, outgunned, outclassed. How are we ever going to bring him down? Oh, it's the wrong voice again. Damn, this is... I don't know whose fault this is. What I hate when you don't know who the hell's freaking talking. I have a friend who wants to help. Earlier in the evening, I saw a safe in Falcone's study. Bene. Now, if everyone could just move in a little closer. And while it would be improper for Bruce Wayne to examine its contents, Bene, a little closer, please. There is an alternative. Closer? I was wondering who left the window open. Catwoman. This isn't the first time our paths have crossed inside this penthouse. Is there a connection? Nice. I don't have time for this. My business here this evening does not involve you. Funny. I don't believe you. You should. Then let go of me. Take him down. Bam, bam, bam. Now look what you've done. Enough. Just tons of bullet fire. But Batman is apparently immune to bullets. In my own home, where my children sleep, on my nephew's wedding day. Milos, my most trusted friend, surely you have an explanation? Catwoman and Batman. Ha 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 ha. You know, there was a time, Carmine, when this would have never, ever happened. You're not getting too old, are you? Salvatore, the boss Maroni, the Roman chief rival for the control of Gotham City. Milos, get Mr. Maroni here a drink. The rest of you spread the word. $1 million for either of them. The bat or the cat. And just like that, Tom King was born. She is quite good at this, although she treats it like a game. For a man who claimed he had no business with me, you certainly are going out of your way to have business with me. This is not a game. Catwoman, what were you doing at Falcone's? Nope. That would be telling. And the last thing I would want to do is make it easy for you. Catwoman. Gone. I wonder if it's true about what they say about having 9 lives. After tonight, she's going to need all of them. How much longer? As long as it takes. Oh. Must be hell on a marriage. Barbara understands. Why? You and Gilda having problems? It's nothing that can't be handled. Suppose we wait here all night and he doesn't show up. Gentlemen. District Attorney Harvey Dent, this is Bats. Dent. Well, I don't have to be a detective to see you two already know each other. I've come to appreciate our mutual friend and how he crosses a line that we can't. It's still a line. And people who live in glass houses shouldn't blah, blah, blah. Given the lateness of the hour, the condition of your clothes, Dent, you've both been working on the Roman case again. The Roman, the man's name is Carmine Falcone. He's just a man like any other, except he puts himself above the law. That doesn't mean he is. Oh, really? Then go arrest him, Captain. I've got files full of unsolved robberies, hijackings, murders with his name all over them. His money will buy the witnesses, the cops, the judges. In what way isn't the Roman above the law? We can all walk around it, but we know what needs to be done. I want to be clear on this. In our zeal to bring Falcone to justice, I'll let you bend the rules, but we cannot break them. Otherwise, how are we different from him? Of course. I made a promise on the grave of my slain parents. Bats? Batman, I have to have your word. I would not rest until Gotham City was washed clean of the evil that took their lives. There could be no compromises. And yet, agreed. Gone. He does that. Annoying, isn't it? You know, there was a time when I suspected you were the Batman. Sorry. I'm quite happy with who I am. Wait. Was that here before? No. Batman must have left it. It's the Romans. How? Don't ask. Harvey, this is a ledger with dates and dollar amounts. I believe in Jim Gordon. July, the monthly board meeting of the Gotham City Bank. Everyone in this room knows where the Falcone family comes from. Gambling, racketeering, drugs. For us to even consider doing business with them. Bruce. You're making some pretty wild accusations about Carmine Falcone. I only know the man to be in the importing and exporting of Italian shoes. I've even got a pair of them on right now, and they're extremely comfortable. Agreed with Richard, Bruce. Business is business, and this bank could use the millions Falcone Imports wants to bring here. Dirty money that he wants to launder here. I will not, cannot allow this to happen. Somewhere in the city, I know the Roman is smiling. Richard Daniel's penthouse, far more luxurious than one could afford on a bank president's salary. Darling, hurry along. The reservation is in half an hour. Richard Daniel. Ksh. The Falcone money. Keep it out of the bank. Bank Chief Daniel resigns. Bruce Wayne to head. August. Morte. I want his little bank rat dead. I warned you, Falcone. Ever since Richard Daniel resigned, no bank in Gotham will touch us. My family alone has millions sitting in. Shut up, Maroni. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Carmine, we're getting choked here. The other families are looking at you sideways. New York, Metropolis, and Chicago. Pop, there might be a way to... Alberto, please. We're talking business. Carla, where's that nephew of mine? 2 months this kid's been in Italy on honeymoon. I want Johnny here, now. September. What do you say, darling? Why don't we get out of Gotham City for a while? Take a little place in Paris. Oh, Richard, are you serious? Paris in the autumn? How romantic. Richard Daniel. Yes? Who? Somewhere in this city, I know the Roman is laughing. So there's a gun. They filed off the serial number. All I'm saying, Barbara, is that I'm sorry we didn't get to go away all summer. But now that it's September and it's cooling off, maybe we'll see a drop in the crime rate and ring, ring. Get that, will you? Why? We both know it's for you. Nobody ever calls for me. Ring, ring. Barbara. Gordon here. Oh, dear Lord. No. I'll call Harvey Dent. Harvey? Harvey, are you down there? What's up? Jim Gordon just called. Richard Daniel has been murdered. I'm scared, Harvey. I'm scared some night that the phone is going to ring and it'll be someone calling to tell me that you... Shh, Gilda, shh. Murder. Two shots to the head. You ask me, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. District Attorney Dent. I don't want to hear that kind of talk coming from you, either publicly or privately. If we can, let's not lose focus here. A .22 caliber handgun was left at the scene. The handle taped. The serial number filed... Oh, sorry. I didn't even see Batman in the panel. Rewind. Sorry. If we can, let's not lose focus here. A .22 caliber handgun was left at the scene. The handle taped. The serial number filed off, leaving the gun on a stone-cold trail. Like the killer wanted. A professional or someone who knew what they were doing. The baby bottle nipple was for a silencer. Cheap but effective. And don't forget the pumpkin. Happy Halloween, Johnny Vitti. Bang, you're dead. Who has the stones to whack Falcone's nephew? Maroni, maybe? Carla Vitti out to start a king war? Oh, God, I'm reading it again. God, this Comixology adaptation is terrible. And it's kind of my fault, but this is massive lettering. I don't know why I didn't see the word balloons. It's so much easier when you have a full page to read and you can see it all. It's really tough when you're reading out loud. So that was Harvey Dent talking. You don't think she'd kill her own son, do you, Batman? Batman? I think he left. We were in the middle of a conversation. Where would we be off to now? Curious. And curiosity killed the cat. But satisfaction brought her back. I was wondering where you'd been. In case you haven't heard, Falcone has $1 million bounty on my head. Mine too. Yes, well, I'm not you. You knew I'd see you spying on us. What is it you want this time? I don't want to help. But I might be able to be helpful. And in return, maybe someday I'll need help, and you can return the favor. No promises. I'll take that chance. Now listen carefully. Halloween night in Gotham City. This had better pay off. I promised Gilda I'd hand out candy to the neighborhood kids. Why would Catwoman help us? I'm not sure. Other than it's her interest in the Roman's attention is focused elsewhere. Well, if she's right, we're about to give Falcone 10 or 20 million other things to think about. Follow the money. That's how Catwoman began. Seems Falcone hasn't been able to launder his cash for a while now. He's been forced to stockpile it. Oh boy, if we were two other guys in a room full of untraceable cash, we're not. Yeah, but I was just thinking how easy. Don't. That is a shit ton of cash. Holy crap. Okay, then. We've been trying to hurt Falcone. Human life means nothing to him, but this is going to be a Halloween he isn't going to forget. Think we used enough gasoline there, Bats? Somewhere in the city, the Roman isn't laughing anymore. Trick or treat. You guys get plenty of candy. Sure did. Thank you. There's a smile I haven't seen in a while. Somebody have a good day? This was a night to remember, Mrs. Dent. Good. I was kind of hoping you could make it a night we'd remember too, Mr. Dent. Bow chicka wow wow. Let me just open the mail and what's this package? I don't know, Harv. It came for you about an hour ago and... Do it. I believe in Jim Gordon. I believe in Harvey Dent. I believe in Gotham City. Wow. That's a good book. Aside for my little quibbles about lettering and paneling structure and stuff that make it just... I think it would have been different if I was reading full pages, but that was tough. This is one of those books that I just... You need to read. You just know. Everyone talks about it. It's like a legendary book. And as I'm reading it, the first issue here, all I can go through my mind is like, why haven't you not read this like 20, however many years ago to come out? This is like a 20-year-old book, isn't it? Because first of all, I like Jeff Loeb reasonably well as a writer, and I like Tim Sale. Tim Sale is not Frank Miller, but Tim Sale, his art is definitely reminiscent of Frank Miller. Like he kind of came on the scene because he was able to look like Frank Miller in his art, that is. And I love Frank Miller's art for Batman. I like and Tim Sale just brings that sort of gritty noir feel to it. And and then of course, this being a spiritual sequel to Batman Year One, one of my favorite comic of all time. Like why have I not? I don't know. I feel like a chump, but I'm glad I'm with you guys and getting to read this with you, even though I'm kind of fumbling through some of the stuff. Yeah, that was, I didn't do the next book. I forgot to click on the, I have to return a book. That's why. Return American Vampire. I hate this whole, you have too many books checked out. Here it comes. Wait. So number 2, that's what we need. All right, so let's go check the chat. Really need to mark this. Oh, you guys didn't have as much chat as I thought. Marani says it's pronounced Falcone, like pal and cone, like ice cream cone. I've heard it pronounced Falcones or Falcone. So, who's right, Ash or Marania? Let's see. Dun dun dun. Let's try the first result. Come on, come on. Jesus. Oh, YouTube can be so slow sometimes. How to pronounce. Jesus. It's a 30-second video. What's going on? Oh, just scrolling and scrolling. Dude, seriously. What the F? It takes longer to load up the video than it's going to take to play it. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, thanks, Google. Oh, retarded. You know, the problem is because I'm on Yahoo. It's playing through Yahoo. Why is Yahoo even the search engine?
pronouncenames.com.
Falcone.
Falcone. See?
Falcone.
You pronounce the E on a Italian like that. It's Falcone. Falcone. So, regardless, I'm not going to chastise anyone pronouncing it differently. It's like Raza Ghul. DC can't settle on the pronunciation. I say it's Raza Ghul. Some people say it's Ra's al Ghul. Whatever. But, you know, and of course, just because the proper pronunciation of the actual Falcone name doesn't mean that the DC Falcone, I don't know. I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I tend to be anyway. Sorry. But now I can at least defend because I like the Falcone. Eric says, good night, kids. See you tomorrow. We've got issues. Spanky and I are going to read to each other. So Eric is just here to promote himself, apparently. Jeez. Well, good to see you too, Eric. Let's see. Dragon says, I'm back. What did I miss? Watching Jason Hunt hit chicks in a video game. Okay. Carla is my mom's name. She ran to Vegas with a retired mobster. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. The art was adequate. The story was intriguing, says Maranya. I think the story was probably better. I don't think I did it justice. The paneling on this, when you read with just, cell by cell, like frame by frame, it was very difficult to get an understanding of, like, because sometimes like the lettering would be off panel, which would work when you have the entire page, but when you're just limited on what you can see, it was like very tough. I was like, who the hell is talking? And I think it caused me to not deliver the performance that it deserves. I think this is a good book. This is no Batman Year One yet. There's 12 more issues, a lot of story to go. So I'm not at all dismayed that there wasn't a ton of stuff happening yet, but there was just enough to like get you in. And like I said, I really like that this is the like Batman Year One Batman. This is the early days. He doesn't know Selena as Catwoman yet. He's barely got a relationship with Gordon. Gordon's working out shit with his wife. You got Harvey Dent is still actually District Attorney Harvey Dent. This is the era of Batman that I love. This is my favorite thing. So even though it's not Frank Miller writing it, a competent writer writing in the Batman Year One the spiritual sequel. Like it feels like returning to home. And like I said, I can't believe I haven't read this. Like, I had forgotten that point though. I think if I had remembered that point, I would have read this before. So let's see. Marania says, it's not pronounced that way in my family. It's Falcone, not the extended E. Oh, are you a Falcone? Is that your family name? But I mean, I guess I don't want you to necessarily reveal. Like, I don't know. There's probably a lot of Falcones though. And that's true. I mean, my mother's maiden name is a certain name that's not spelled or pronounced like the normal way. A lot of names, when families immigrated to America, either changed pronunciations or changed spelling, which oftentimes would change the pronunciations. So that can happen. But in the films, like in the movies and stuff, they've always pronounced the Falcone as Falcone. So that's kind of how it seems right to me. So that's just where I go with it. So if I'm going to keep pronouncing it that way. You don't have to change your pronunciation, of course. Just know that at least that's where I take it from. Melissa says, night, guys. Good night, Melissa. Sorry if I missed you if you're already gone. RDV says the E is silent in Falcone. No, it's not. No, it's not, RDV. I will argue with you because you're Vankman. And I just used YouTube to prove it. Everything on YouTube is true. Let's see. I'm staying for Grundy. He's my favorite villain, says Melissa. Oh. Let's see. The Long Halloween did feel like Tom King's Million Word Bubbles when I sat down and read it in one sitting. I didn't actually mean that reference. I don't feel like... This didn't feel like a Tom King book. My reference, which I didn't really elaborate on, when I said the bat and the cat, that's now what Tom King has carried. That's one of the things that Tom King has tried to really make his own. If you've noticed in the comics, no one else really referred to Batman and Catwoman as the bat and cat. It's like a Tom King thing. And this is, in my estimation, because most legitimate creators don't try to poach off of other people, right? It's like, oh, that's what Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale did. Like, they did the bat and cat. I'm not going to try to copy that into my thing and make their thing my thing. Most creators have some level of integrity, at least artistic integrity. But Tom King, as we all see, loves to poach things. I mean, he was like basically copying and pasting classic sonnets from like Yeats and Keats and stuff in his Crisis book. And I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're just like writing like classic poetry in these books. I'm like, no one wants to read this. You know, the people that do want to read it, they're not reading Batman books. You're not. And, you know, many people have criticized him on this about how he tries to make everything look like Watchmen because the whole 9-panel format, and he's very derivative. And so I didn't know I thought Bat and Cat. I didn't know actually because I've never read Long Halloween. So when I heard him do Bat and Cat, I just groaned. I was like, that's dumb. That sounds like something Tom King, like I guess I assumed that was like a thing he kind of made up. And sure as shit, nope. He went and found some classic book because it makes sense that Tom King, who's not really a comics guy, gets a writing gig over at DC. And then it's like, oh, well, you better read some Batman. Well, he probably didn't go read like bunches of classics. He probably read a few of the big deals. So he probably read Batman Year One. He probably read Dark Knight Returns. He probably read Long Halloween. He had like a small sampling of the classics, and it's like, oh no, I know Batman, which explains why he doesn't know Batman, because the books I just listed, which while great, aren't actually standard Batman fare, as far as how he is in the main continuity, which explains why Tom King doesn't get the main continuity. RDV says Tom King and Bendis are the same people. No, I wish they were. Dragon says, I'm here till the end. Well, man, I appreciate it. You give me a hard time, but you stick with me. I love loyalty. Anyways, that's, again, my long-winded answer for something. That's what I was actually, in my mind, what I was thinking when I said, oh, there's where Tom King begins. I could just imagine Tom King being like, ooh, I scored this little gem from this classic book, and now no one else has done anything with it, so I'm going to take it and run with it, and I'll make it this big thing. Remember Clerks 2? Remember? You guys seen Clerks 2? It's a great movie. And one of the characters is like using the term porch monkey, and they're like, dude, you can't say that name. Like, it's like, that's totally offensive. And then he's like, he just turns into like, I'm going to own it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to make it mean something. Porch. You're just like, everyone's like, no, shut up. That's kind of what Tom King reminds me of. Let's see. King and Bendis both appear to be bald. Your idea has merit, RDV. Oh, man. Yeah, well, there you go. Tom King's run forever killed the Batman franchise. He's also planning on ruining Phantasm. Oh, great. Fortunately, he has not killed the Batman franchise because he got pulled off before he did the stupid Bat-Cat wedding, which would have messed up things. But he did kill Alfred. But fortunately, that can all be fixed. Fortunately, DC's got these things called crises. No matter how much they damage something, if DC gets too stuck in the weeds, they can just be like, oh, crisis time, hit the button, bloop, and then reinvent themselves. Nothing matters. So it's part of the reason why DC struggles to be competitive with Marvel, because their books aren't collectible for that very reason. Once you invalidate your own continuity, then there's no reason to have things matter. Like, I don't need that book. It's not a key issue anymore because it didn't matter. Marvel's more collectible because their stuff matters. But both of these companies are deciding to run away from continuity, which is going to make collectors run away, anyways, we're not here to talk about that. Melissa says he destroyed Wally West. He did. He murdered Wally West. Like, he made Wally, he did worse than kill Wally West. Like, if he would have killed Wally West, we could have had a story of how he comes back. Like, we always find ways to resurrect characters. But what he did was he fundamentally altered the character so that Wally West is now forever the guy who would frame his friends for murder. Like, you're like, what? What were you thinking? I don't care that Wally West killed people, right? You can explain, okay, you had a power surge, like this thing, you haven't controlled it, and you accidentally killed people. It's the intent that defines the crime, right? If Wally West didn't intend to do anything and his powers are out of control, then he can't be held. Now, some people could blame him. You can always point blame at people, but in truth, he would be innocent. The problem is he decided, oh, I'll mess things up, I'll frame it so that my friends all get pointed as murderers and I get off the hook, which he didn't get off the hook, and he kills himself. Like, he sets up this elaborate suicide thing. And I'm like, if you're just going to kill yourself, why frame your friends? Like, that's like the worst thing. Like, you do something so horrible and you have so much guilt. You're like, I cannot live with myself. I'm going to commit suicide because I've done something so horrible. Okay, well, at least you're owning it. You can at least be like, yo, hey, I accidentally murdered all your friends. So I'm so sorry. I don't deserve to live, and off yourself. And you go, oh, geez, that's freaking horrible. Like, but no, instead what happened is Tom King wrote a story that was like, hey, I murdered all your friends. And then I framed it on my friends, and then I murdered myself because I was so stricken with guilt. But meanwhile, now their lives are... I was like, what, Jesus, what kind of awful, weird, sick mind is Tom King have? Oh, we all know, because we saw what he does to people like Dean Cain. So today we'll use this as another opportunity to have the friendly reminder of fuck Tom King. F that dude. Bendis may write terrible books and he may mess up characters and stuff, but at least Bendis doesn't appear to be a total ass-tard. I don't even know what to think of a word. Like, Bendis is just an ego-driven guy who thinks that, you know, his shit's amazing, and it's not. And I don't actually have a problem with Bendis in that reason. Like, he wants to write comics his way, and he gets a job. I don't like it. I don't buy his work. But I blame DC more than I blame Bendis. He's just doing what he thinks is right. Let's see. Joshua Williamson retconned Heroes in Crisis. I haven't read that issue. I have to see. People said that about the other Flash book, the Flash Forward. Like, oh, Scott Lobdell fixed the problem, like, with Flash Forward. And I'm like, so I read it, and I was like, no, this doesn't fix the problem. Like, it helps. It helps reestablish that Wally is a hero, but it did not erase the fact that Wally West is a person who did this act. Now, he can seek redemption, which is what Flash Forward did. Like, he's on the path to redemption, but that will forever be a stain on him. He will never be able to say, you know, he can be a character that's like, look, I've improved but he will be ever marked as like, dude, you framed your friends for murder, right? I mean, if you think about it, Hawkman is a way worse character. Like, Hawkman is vile. Like, he is the cause of the death and suffering of millions, potentially billions of people. There's very few people that could be considered like a bigger menace than Hawkman. And yet the story is told in such a way that that's part of who he is, and why we root for him is because he is this hero of redemption. He is forever paying for his crimes. And we learn that about him and we accept, but Wally wasn't that. And so Tom King just introduced us out of, you know, it's like the symbol of hope was just all of a sudden just destroyed. Like, he can't be the symbol of hope. It's like, you can't have a Superman and then all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, but you know, Superman did have this one period of time where he murdered people. That would forever break who Superman is. I mean, to this day, Superman fans are pissed off that Zack Snyder, had Superman kill Zod in the movie. Like, people are like, that's not Superman. And then they're like triggered. And I'm okay with it, because I'm okay with the movie. Like, I look and go, that's just an Elseworlds. This is a different Superman. It's, you know, it's just a different take. But I don't understand the principle of why they're upset, because if that was in the comics, you're like, no, that's forever tarnishing what Superman is. He's more than just a person, of a being. He is a symbol in a story. He has a purpose. His character has a role to fill in story that can't be fulfilled if you change fundamentals. This is my argument where I talk about the destruction of Jonathan Kent and so forth. It's like, yes, he still exists, and we have a character named Jonathan Kent, but he no longer can fill the purpose that he was created to fill in a narrative, because that is gone. Now I'm gonna go in the weeds again. I should just make a show called In the Weeds with Ash, and then I can not have to apologize anymore. RDB says Joker War is fantastic. You're crazy. Wait, who said Joker War wasn't fantastic? I don't know what that's an argument for. I didn't know anyone. RDB says Batman has been great. I've been enjoying a Batman. But I've just been enjoying it. I really wish I could be like, dude, Batman is great. It's not great. It's just decent. And that's really, that's nothing to complain about, but when it's a character you really like, you don't want it to just be decent. You would love to be 5 stars all the time, like just as great as it could possibly be. So I'm enjoying Tynan's run. And he is, here's the thing, following up Tom King should be a dream. Like, how are you going to do worse, right? Like, the person who takes over Superman, he's going to have a curse because Superman's been effed up really bad. But you're following Bendis. Like, but I think Tom King's actually a better follow-up because Tom King wasn't... Yeah, Tom King is just miserable. Bendis is messed up. His books are like, I just hate them, but they're not miserable, right? When you read Tom King, you're like, this is bad, and it makes me feel bad. It makes me want to shoot myself. There's no fun. Bendis is at least trying to be fun, and I think that's why there's people who legitimately are Bendis fans, like Jimmy. Like, he just has fun with what Bendis does. I don't like it, but some people do. Tom King just is miserable, and he paints it on the page. Tynan and Bruce come to terms with Alfred being dead and learn to move on, and that's that he doesn't need Alfred to be Batman. Well, that's not true. That's destroying a fundamental Batman. Batman needs Alfred. Now you can write and change that, but you're destroying a piece of Batman, right? It's like the Sony Spider-Mans. Like, there's no Uncle Ben. So everything that makes Peter Parker the hero that he is, the significant act of he let his uncle die because he was not willing to help out other people, to look out for other, put aside his self-interest and be like, people need me. And so when the victim was his own uncle, it was a wake-up call. And that's a huge part. And the Sony Spider-Mans don't have that. It's just, hey, I'm this smart kid and got my aunt, and Tony Stark likes me and he makes me cool stuff, and I got gadgets, and I got these powers, and I'm fun, and it makes for fun movies. I enjoyed the Sony Spider-Man films. I enjoy them more than a lot of people do. A lot of people really shit on them. I'm like, they're not that bad, but they fundamentally aren't Spider-Man. They're just this weird carbon copy. Let's see. RDV. Let's see. RDV is a remnant of he's a remnant of the failed New 52 and Dan Didion's failure, along with Snyder, King, Lee, Bendis, and more. My friend Fan Man said DC Comics will never recover. They're all gone. I think Snyder did a good job with Batman, honestly. I don't see what Lee had a problem. Bendis and King obviously did some bad things, and Didiot did some stupid things, but throughout comic history, believe me, DC has been worse than it is now. Like, there's a reason why I wasn't ever a DC guy until 2018. Like, not because it was all bad during all that time, but man, go back and pick up some Silver Age DC and see how freaking ridiculous it is. Now, I'm glad Eric's asleep, because he would be he would probably be triggered at this, but DC used to be cartoony and just goofball and like Archie comics, like, just like, what the hell is this? And like Batman, like, it didn't work. And that's why it was failing. It's really bad. The DC's always been kind of the second best, and so it's always trying to like reinvent itself, and Marvel's was a big success. It makes sense that you're trying to copy the competition who's more successful than you, right? But yeah, I do also agree, like, DC isn't Marvel, so it shouldn't try to be exactly like Marvel. I don't know. Jimmy is naive. He was raised on bad comics. It's all he ever knew. So we are educating Jimmy. All right. I still think, though, that there is some legitimacy. You know, I will say certain comics are bad, but if someone likes them, even though they don't know any better, they still like them, right? I don't think McDonald's makes the greatest hamburgers on earth, but I know lots of kids who think that those are the greatest hamburgers on earth, and that's what matters to those kids, and that's all that really matters to McDonald's. They don't have to. They can sit there and admit, yeah, our burgers are just whatever. They can say their burgers are. They would never publicly say it, you know, but like they can admit, yeah, our burgers are crap, but all we care about is we sell billions of them. Like, and that's the thing. Like, Marvel and DC aren't necessarily trying to make works of art. They're trying to make mainstream, digestible stuff to appeal to people like Jimmy. Now, I may look at it and go, that's shit, right? It's the same thing like Bud Light. I'm not going to drink Bud Light beer, but it outsells every other beer that I like combined. You know, like, and Bud Light doesn't care. I'm sure the you know, the CEO and the people, you know, invested, but like, we're not trying to make the best beer in the world. We're trying to make the beer that sells the most. So, I can't believe I just went and defended Jimmy like that. RDV says, I'm not mad, but we'll have to disagree. Batman has been great. You won't get Alfred back, at least not for a long time. Look how long Wally was gone. Yeah, but Wally was replaced. So if there was another Alfred, I think Alfred will not be as gone as long as Wally, because you can't really replace him in the same fashion, and he's a detrimental part of the Batman character. It's like when DC tried to get rid of Robin, because Robin didn't really sell in the comics, and then the 80s when the Tim Burton movies came out and it was just Batman, you know, they realized like, oh, people want a more serious Batman, not with this weird little pedo fetish kid that runs around. Like, it really is kind of creepy that he runs around in those tights like that. It's sold better. People, that it was just a more popular thing. But even then, I knew like Robin's not staying gone, and they've had how many? You can't even count the number of Robins they have in one hand. There's just too many. RDV says Bruce is going to get the Alfred AI. Ooh. You could be right. You could be right, RDV. Oh, thanks for ruining my evening. No, you didn't ruin my evening. Melissa really has to go now, so she says, see you Tuesday. Thanks, Melissa, for being here. Thanks for putting up. This is a long stream again. I really need to cut these down. I just like talking to you guys. It's hard for me to shut up, to be honest. So anyone that's here actually making it this far and listening, appreciate it. I am going to end things now so that I can go do other things, like possibly get some sleep. You guys get some sleep. I will see you Tuesday with more vampire, more Batman, and I'll try to pare it down. Maybe get some timers or something so we can make this all more concise. Thanks for watching so much. I look forward to seeing you again, and stay safe out there.